360-degree turn, which means there's a circle, how one of our chaplains, Chaplain Herbert happens to be CEO of WeCare, and we kind of like met. I seen this guy going down 22 in Union, and when I saw him walking, I was wondering what was going on. Why is he out here? Pulled over. He got out, and we started talking. And two things came out of that. One, I'm the chairman of the recruitment committee for Mini Med School at UMDMJ. That's my regular job. His daughter is in that program, the SMART program, the honors. Okay, the pre-med honors program. Nevertheless, the SMART program and those who stick with us on the honors side of the pre-med program, when they complete, you no longer go to college anymore. You go straight from high school straight to medical school. They eliminated college because people just taking courses that had nothing to do with medicine. So they're trying to alleviate that. So anyway, so now he came back as a chaplain. He reinstated himself. So without further ado, they can explain to you more about what they do. This is not only our brother in Christ, but also a chaplain, Herbert from WeCare. Give him a hand.
Good morning, Benjamin.
Good morning.
As a recovering chaplain, and I am happy to say that, some of us don't want to accept the challenge and look at opportunities to come back. There are a number of chaplains that are out there that are inactive, and we need to encourage them to know that you can become a recovering chaplain and come back and put something on the plate. Amen? Amen. And that's exactly what has happened. We do give honor to God, and we recognize the clergy leadership here in this great institution, and what has developed from it. Certainly the sudden loss of our leader, Reverend Rozier, has impacted a tremendous amount of encouragement, and what we want to begin to do is reestablish that vision that he had instilled in our hearts to be beneficial to our communities and to exalt the name of Jesus in our lives as we go forward. And that's what has happened with me, from the inspiration that I was encouraged to build through working with this ministry and to find ways to develop the natural essence of what's important for our lifestyles, and that's to help others. And with that tremendous amount of discipline and encouragement, I've been able to establish an organization, which is a nonprofit organization called WeCarePartners. And WeCarePartners is a public awareness community resource. In a sense, what I've been able to do is take many of the innate talents that God has given to me and develop a business around it. And the business model is focused on being able to establish ways in which I would have the credential to get funding so that we can do support ministry in our communities. And the dynamics of it has been able to speak volumes. Our incorporation occurred last year in 2010, and for those of you who have been encouraged to start your church ministries, to find out what it's like to file for the process to become a tax-exempt organization, it is not an easy task. And certainly once you receive it, it is really a milestone. And I'm very happy about the fact that we have accomplished that role. And when you get that opportunity, you really have to get going. You can't hold it. You can't wait until somebody comes and asks you to do something. You have to go out and do. Amen? And so that's exactly what we began in our activities, through our mission to develop activities that will improve quality of life, transforming communities into safe and healthy neighborhoods. And out of that mission, we have developed a vision to end poverty by developing methods that unify cultures, creating educational alternatives for success. Now, I've been encouraged through a number of different individuals that I've worked with over the years, especially with various organizations such as the NAACP and doing things here with the Chaplains Ministry. And there are individuals that have encouraged me in the media world, such as Dr. Albert Lewis, for instance, who has become a very good friend of mine. Mrs. Walker, as a matter of fact, works in the city government with one of the most profound individuals that has been a good friend and a mentor for me. That individual is the Honorable Mayor Wayne Smith of Irvington, New Jersey. Together we have partnered to build strong foundations. Just to take back a few years, in 1999, I lost my job. The tremendous impact that a number of people have been experiencing in the past couple of years, I experienced that 10 years ago. And it took less than a year for my family and I to become homeless. And the kinds of experiences that you go through when you have to depend on government is just something that you never expect to deal with. Because you really think government is actually working. And then you find out all of the turmoil and all the problems. We're talking about individuals where they should go out and get a job. Well, a lot of times there are a lot of obstacles that are put there for them. I went out to try to find some support for my family, and it was better for me to beat my wife down and put my kids in the street for us to get something to happen that we really needed. I mean, they ridiculed me for being a man, objectively trying to take care of his family, and then looking at ways in which government would help me. And what I vowed to do once I overcame that obstacle was to do some kind of service that people would have trust to know that if I work with them, that we can help them overcome those obstacles. And then my life transformed, and I got the opportunity to work with the United Chaplains ministry. And now we have been able to look at ways in which we can work together collectively. This organization is an organization that wants to do something. And that is what's inherent about what keeps people motivated. And I believe that what we're going to offer today with my colleagues is that opportunity to start doing things. What happened was that during my time, we created different kinds of activities, such as rallies, focusing on issues such as education and healthcare. As I have been able to develop a strong relationship in the community, healthcare through health and wellness has now become a real major part of my outreach involvement. Through health and wellness, we've been able to find opportunities to learn how we can create job employment for people in our communities and find ways to know what is going to be important about the reform changes that are going on in our government, and what we need to begin to do to work in our church communities to make our congregational members effectively aware of how important it is for them to get involved with insurances. Insurance is such a difficult problem in our churches. A number of individuals, just last week, one of the members of my church fell dead at her pew. And it's happened in a number of churches. And the unfortunate part about it is that she had no insurance. And so, we have found ourselves to use our ministries to help bury individuals who are transitioning over into life. And we're not really encouraging them to find out exactly what they can do after they have, gotten to the point where their life has ended. And we need to find people who are going to help us not only encourage them, but educate them on what charity really means. And that's the important fact that most of us want it now, but we never really look at what's going to happen when we're not here. And I have individuals that are working with me that know how to professionally talk to individuals and encourage them to get what's important for their lifestyles. The Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act is going to change the disciplines of healthcare in our communities tremendously. And what's happening with that, there is a lot of health reform for Medicaid and Medicare. The health reform for Medicaid and Medicare is broken down into various titles, and these titles are really appropriately, in my opinion, developing ways in which we can create more accountability for the conduct that's necessary for us to get the kind of care that we need. There are two particular areas in the bill that I want to make sure that we concentrate on and we focus on, where it can create an economic engine for what is necessary for us to continue to keep our ministries thriving. One of those areas is Title IV, Prevention of Chronic Disease and Improving Public Health, and Title V, the Healthcare Workforce. Now, I'm not here to lecture you today. We want to make sure that it's interactive. I'm not going to hold you all day over what I've been able to discover, but I want to encourage you to, at the end of my presentation, to give me information about how I can contact you, and we can be able to further a way in which we can work within your ministry organizations whether it be your nursing unit or your health unit or just a group of individuals who we know that we can motivate to know how we can be able to deliver these kinds of responsibilities to our community effectively. One of the areas that I've also been able to work with has been with media partners. And I have two organizations that I'm dynamically working with. Dr. Thomas and I are going to be creating a way in which we can disseminate information about the activities that we're doing here with the ministry. And one of the organizations is called Reflections Magazine. And another one, I'm sure many of you are familiar with, is called Positive Community Magazine. These are two areas that I've been able to work through the approach with my organization, WeCarePartners, to create a media outlet that people have already begun to identify with that shows the good faith and good work that we're going to be doing as we move forward with the reorganizational structure of this grand ministry. The relationships that has been very potential has been today. When you're leaving today, we want to make sure that you are able to go out and have some refreshments that we have at the back table in the back, and that was provided through a relationship that we're building with a health insurance provider called WellCare. And Stephanie Reed is the representative that has been given to us to be able to work with. Thank you very much.
Just let her know that Stephanie had to leave, that she's leaving for North Carolina.
Yes, Stephanie is traveling for the holidays in North Carolina with her family. She couldn't be with us today, but she will be with us in the future so that she can share with us exactly how WellCare is going to be supportive in our outreach effort. They have been very good in helping us get the message out. Through the month of November, they worked with WeCarePartners to create different activities, such as we did a conference together, we did what we call a health spa with our seniors, identifying ways in which we can really give honor where honor is due, and they worked with us to create a health fair. And that's exactly what we want to try to do in your ministries, in your communities, and we're able to provide that through getting the sponsors from these big organizations that really want to have your attention and be able to market to you in a way in which it can be supported. What WeCarePartners is doing is building a strong foundation so that you can trust that if we're going to be coming in, you know that you're going to get the best possible services from these individuals. Another group that's partnering with us is called the George Sosa Group. Mr. Sosa will be here soon. We hope to get a presentation from him. But someone from his organization, Ms. Patti Goldfarb, who is now part of our organization, is involved with employee benefits, and she's an advisor for the group. It's a medical link affiliate, and she has a vast knowledge in different areas on how we can construct ways in which we can approach developing personal care organizations, which is what we're looking to do so that we can help provide an economic engine towards getting people in your church community, for instance, who can work to take care of individuals who are in your ministry who are sick and shut in, for instance. And we can be able to find ways to deliver those kinds of opportunities in regard to ministry if we are able to deal with it through this organization, the United Chaplains. So what I would like to do is ask Ms. Patti Goldfarb to come up and give us a brief presentation in relationship to what she's here to do. Please give her a round of applause.
Thank you. I apologize. George is on his way. He got stuck with a training class this morning, and I imagine he's looking for parking right now. George's background has been with Medicare and Medicare supplements and helping people choose the right program for their needs. My background has been with working with businesses and individuals in finding the right health care, the right long-term care, the right disability programs for themselves. And one of the things that Herb and I have been talking about is the fact that this country has a crisis when it comes to health care. Not just in terms of medical care, but custodial care as well. And we were talking about the idea of creating a program that would start perhaps with study groups among ourselves called Aging with Dignity. It would be a program that encompassed not just what do you do when you turn 65 in terms of picking out the right Medicare supplements, the right long-term care program, but also encompass talking about caregiving, involving the family, involving planning for retirement. What kinds of things should you do? You know, we don't have job security anymore. We don't have pension plans anymore. We don't even have families that can take their loved ones in anymore because we've got two-income families now. It's not like mom stays home and takes care of the kids, and then if her parents get sick or her husband's parents get sick, they can take care of them. Everybody's out working, trying to earn a living, if they're lucky enough to have a job, and they're scraping by. So there's an entire financial revolution that's taking place in this country, and we need to find a way to plan for it and to counsel people, because one of the saddest things that we've discovered, especially in the area of long-term care, is no one is educated to know about long-term care. And when do you find out about long-term care? When you need it. When mom can't get up out of bed to go to the bathroom, or change her clothes, or dress herself, or she's got Alzheimer's disease and needs somebody to watch her, because if she's not watched and she's left alone in the house, she could burn the house down because she forgets to turn the stove off, and things like that. And what happens? We become impoverished because we have to spend our life savings in order to qualify to be put into a nursing home or have a home health aide. And our goal is to stop all that. Our goal is the belief that an educated society is a four-armed society, and it's a society that can do something about that. And I think it starts with every single person in this room. Because if we can help educate you and give you tools, you can take those tools to your congregation, and we're here to help you. We're here to give you the lessons and give you ideas, and to go back to your congregation with educational tools, PowerPoint, products, to help everyone understand what they're facing. There's this statistic out there that says when you retire, you need at least $250,000 just to pay for medical care before you die. That medical care doesn't include long-term care. Now, MetLife does a study every year that talks about the cost of needing long-term care. If you need to stay in an institution in New Jersey, a semi-private room is going to cost over $200 a day. An aide to come to your home is going to cost between $14 and $17 an hour. Most people can't afford that. And most people don't know enough to plan for that when they think about retirement. If they're lucky enough to have any money to put away for retirement. And these are issues that are important for us to address, because right now our economy is in trouble. And it's going to get worse as the baby boomers age. We don't want our congregations to be statistics. We want to be there to help as much as we can. I have resources. I work with home health care agencies. One of the things that Herb and I were talking about is there's going to be a real job need for people to be trained as home health care aides. Through the Workforce Investment Bureau, you can get grants for training. You can also, if you want to open an agency, you can get grants for hiring people and creating full-time jobs. So there's a lot of work to be done. There's a lot of opportunity out there for us. And it's a matter of getting the wheels in motion to start a lot of these programs, and with Herb's help and hopefully all of your help, and talking about this and creating an agenda and putting something together that we can work and do and schedule, we can actually help a lot of people, a lot of your congregation, and make something happen and prevent a lot of tragedy and do some very good work together. And I'm looking forward to working with each and every one of you.
You know, that's the encouraging way in which we're definitely working to develop the type of resources that are necessary. Like I said, again, as a recovering chaplain, I want to bring something to the table. And I'm very happy to be fortunate enough to have attracted someone like Patti, especially with her vast relationships of individuals and the knowledge that she has with the changes that are going on. There will be a tremendous change in relationship to individuals. We know now people live longer, but they're dying quicker. And the problems in that relationship is that in many instances, they haven't been given the right information so that they can be able to take care of themselves after that period of time in life. And we have to really think about that. It's not a bad thing to think about anymore. It's something that we have to be encouraged to deal with. And understanding how to deal with that early is one of the things that we have not been given enough understanding of because we're so busy struggling for jobs. How do we get a job? And the idea that we are bringing to the table is that we create jobs. You know, you can't go out and say, who's going to give me a job? Nobody's giving me a job. How do we create jobs? And how do we make those jobs substantial enough for service? Because that's what it is. You know, it's interesting how our lifestyle is built around the relationship that God had given to us in terms of ministry. Everything that we do in life is a service. Whether you go to the corner store or to the barber shop or you come here, we're servicing one another. So we're all doing God's work. And if we put it to the relationship that's important for us to manifest the growth so that we can continue to provide that service. And whatever economic empowerment that we have, we will be enriched and we will certainly be empowered to make things change. I have with me also Mr. Gerard Crowder, who's a registered representative from a program called AXA Advisors. Gerard is a mentee. He grew up in our community. He sought after ways in which he can support different programs, especially through leadership as being a youth advisor for the Youth NAACP. And he's also been on some of the boards that Patti was just talking about, the Workforce Investment Board, involvement, influencing different ways in which we can approach developing better communities for our residents. Mr. Crowder is also a mentee, and he came to me and he asked if I would be supportive in working with him in establishing a way where he can be able to explain to our community the need that generally isn't brought to our understanding. And he has a method in which he's doing it. We're very happy that he's a part of the organization. Mr. Crowder, please come on.
Good afternoon, everyone. So I want to thank you all for having me. As Mr. Glenn mentioned, my name is Gerard Crowder, and I am an independent financial professional. I've decided to partner with AXA Advisors, and I'll talk a little bit about the what and the how a little later, but more importantly, I think it's important to discuss the why. As Mr. Glenn mentioned, I am a product of Newark, New Jersey. I grew up in a number of organizations, the ACB Youth Council, to mention one very important influence, but I'm also the product of a grassroots nonprofit here in the city of Newark. So it was as a youngster at the age of 13 I was able to come into first contact with this organization and fell in love with it and decided to master all of its programs and evolve from being a mere participant, right, one who was a beneficiary of the services, to one who could develop to a point where then I could provide those same services for others behind me. Lift as I climb, so to speak. Part of my service was to, upon going to school in Washington, D.C., at Howard University, I decided to come back home to take care of home, so to speak. And in doing so, I wanted to do a number of things. First, I wanted to make sure that I could continue to be the young leader that I was at that time, do right by my family and also by my community. So the question was, how would I contribute? Well, I helped found a nonprofit in 2002, and what I decided to do was to contribute to that nonprofit through being a development director, which means that I'm the one who's responsible for going around asking for money. And in that function, I didn't necessarily like asking for it, but what I certainly didn't like beyond that was asking for it and not getting it. So what I decided to do at that point was to really study relationships and understand leverage. And I went on to serve in a brief stint in municipal government here in the city of Newark, and I certainly learned a lot about political leverage in that position. I'm the product of a single-family home, the oldest of 3 children, all young sisters, And I decided that when I came home, I wanted to make my contribution in a number of ways, not just one. Well, it was as a result of many things that I just mentioned that I understood the importance of leverage. A couple years ago, I had a tremendous family tragedy, which kind of caused me to kind of reevaluate and reassess what was important and how I would make my contribution from that point on. One of the things that happened was suffered a major loss, and at that time, what I decided was there needs to be a resource in the community. There needs to be someone within my own family who understood financial literacy and how things work. Currently, right now, I have the only one really in my family, well, up until myself entering this industry, was my uncle who's north of 60 and lives in Florida now. So I said, surely there needs to be someone locally here who has the expertise, who can really serve as a resource for the family. But beyond that, given my community work, I also realized that as a community, we needed that. Oftentimes, unfortunately, I know some of us can relate, when a member of the family passes on, unfortunately, they also pass on debt rather than wealth. There's a lot of stress and anxiety that comes along with not knowing how to properly leverage what we have. And one of the licenses I have is being an investment advisor, and often when I tell people that, they think, oh, well, I don't have a lot of money. And I say, well, that's actually the best time to sit down with someone who can advise you. But more importantly, it's also better to know not necessarily how to gain and grow more, but how to better position what you have. Because again, I unfortunately was a victim of that stress and the anxiety that came along with suffering a tragedy. Far too seldom do we plan in our communities as well, unfortunately. I mean, we plan for major life events, but not necessarily in terms of our finances. There are a number of studies that I could reference at this point that really point to the purchasing power and the earning power within our communities. So we're certainly not at one in that area, but more or less in terms of what we do with that. So that was a result of working in the nonprofit background, a grassroots background, that I decided, okay, I'm going to get into this industry, but I'm going to work with a number of diverse populations. And as a result of doing that, I realized how other communities already had some of the literacy which they passed down, and how they were slightly more educated in terms of some of the resources that they could use in order to put themselves and their families and their communities in a much better position. So they were a little more aware of risk management, fancy word for all types of insurance. They're a little more aware of retirement planning, college planning, even in terms of how to establish and grow and protect small businesses. So what I decided to do was say, okay, I've worked with a number of diverse populations. Now I'm ready again to return home with this new skill and make my contribution. So given my leadership development background as a youngster, I always knew that the first step to empowerment was becoming aware. And so what I found is, no matter who I meet with, whether individuals or small business owners, I even work with municipalities and even school districts, is that the most important thing is for people to become educated about how things work. A lot of times we suffer from a lack of knowledge, and had I known 10 years ago what I know today, I know I certainly would have been able to put myself and my family in a much better position. So what I've been doing recently is engaging in a number of financial education seminars. There are dozens of topics which I go around and I educate large groups. Also one-on-one, what I call kitchen table presentations, in order to show people how to better position what they have, again, eliminating some of the stress and anxiety so we can really focus on what's more important to us, whether it's your family, worship, or freedom. And so those are the things some of the things that were very much important to me, why I decided to come back and partner with WeCarePartners. Mr. Glenn and I have a long history. I know he's seen me grow up as a youngster, come back and provide some of the same leadership, if you will, for youngsters behind me. And I'm certainly glad to be here now as a resource to my community, whether it be, again, one-on-one, individual consultations or presentations, partnering with the larger organizations to provide financial education. And I'm certainly glad to be here and partner with WeCarePartners and certainly glad that you all lent me your ears. So I thank you for that.
New Jersey Department of Correction. Mike Mine, it was supposed to be at 11:30. I don't see Mike here, but we're still dealing with that. I think there's some today that have applications while they're here. We want you to fill those applications in, and remember, the person that's referring you, or the agency that you're going under, remember to put down there, United Chaplains International World Outreach. Even if you're in a church, you still put down United Chaplains, because we're the ones that is,
I'm Detective Mark McDonald, Inglewood Police Department.
From where?
Inglewood Police Department.
Okay.
Representing Artists Against Violence Art Group.
Okay. So we can have a sit right here. This is, maybe we can sit right over here. He kind of like,
Sorry.
he kind of like friends me, because I wonder why he's coming through that door, and then I wonder why he's coming over here to me. Because I don't commit crimes, so. But it's just interesting. The way this big guy comes towards me and say, I'm so-and-so from so-and-so. Okay. But anyway, I'm covered because I'm with the, outside my regular job and being state director for the United Chaplains. Also, myself and I know Gaffney, I don't know if Minister Oldham Thomas got hurt. I know Pastor Holder got our letters from the New Jersey Department of Corrections, so we have to go down and get our IDs and stuff. But anyway, so that's what we're waiting for now. We're waiting for, we definitely have to get these in. I thought this was one of Mike's representatives, but Mike is supposed to be here to make sure that we get as many applications as we can get in for that $70,000 grant. We need 50 people to get these in. So this is an opportunity, and I understand people. I don't want to say black people, but sometimes I do. But I understand people, you have opportunities and we don't take those opportunities. And we need to take these opportunities while they're offered, because pretty soon certain doors of opportunity is going to be closed down. So you really need to do this. And then this is like giving back to your community as well, because you're mentoring people who's coming out of prison. They're coming back, whether you like them or not, they're going to be released. So we might as well help mentor them and put them on the right track, instead of them coming back out here and committing the same crimes that they committed in the past. They got them in the problem they were in for God knows how many years. So that's why we're really trying to push this. So we gave out some applications today. These are the flyers, and this is for New Jersey Department of Corrections. Remember in the chaplain mentoring program that we're doing with the United Chaplains. So with New Jersey Department of Corrections and with Landmark Management Corporation Management Group. So without further ado, I'm going to give you back to now I can call him Chaplain Herbert Glenn, and then he can give his next speech.
Thank you very much. And it's very important that we recognize the fact that we're working together as a team. And how many of you are familiar with baseball? You know, baseball, right? With baseball, you have your first batter. What do they call that? Your leadoff batter, right? And you get the second person. Everybody's supposed to get on base. When everybody gets on base, you got this guy called the cleanup.
That's right.
Well, our cleanup batter is Mr. George Sosa. Mr. Sosa has been involved in a number of different agencies and has a vast knowledge of understanding how they're structured, and he has really become a tremendous asset because he has become that inspiration to make me aware how important it is to become entrepreneurial, to become independent, and to do what is really important about using my talents and gifts to do the outreach that is going to be beneficial, not only for the business, but for the people that we're working for. Mr. Sosa, would you please come up?
How is everyone? Okay. God bless everyone here. I was listening to the song, and yes, without Jesus you cannot achieve anything.
Amen.
Agree?
Amen.
It doesn't matter what religion we are.
That's right.
Because religion is just relationship with God.
That's right.
Okay? A little bit about me. Born and raised in North, still reside here. And there's a reason for that. I have a father who was a widower. And about 17 years ago, I went through a very interesting experience where the first one out of my family to go to college, graduate from Rutgers University, major in African American and Puerto Rican Studies, double major. Had an opportunity to go to law school, and back in 1987, Ronald Reagan, who was president, started decreasing financial aid. And sometimes you have to make harsh decisions to get change through. And I'm not here talking about politics, but sometimes that situation made me go out and look for something to help continue to pay for college. And one thing that my mother always told me, who was my hero, she says, there's two different types of people in this world. There is one person who waits for things to happen, and there's that other person that makes things happen. George, which one are you? I said, Mom, come on. She goes, well, make things happen, let's go. So I went out and I worked for myself. As Brother Glenn mentioned about entrepreneurship, I learned entrepreneurship very early in my life, and I realized that I graduated from Rutgers, and the information and experience that I gained while I was going to school was so valuable that there were employers knocking on my door. And then in 1994, I had the tragedy of losing my mother. She canceled her life insurance. This gentleman here, who's my new brother from another mother, talked about proper education, about proper coverage. And she canceled her life insurance for me to go to school because it was just too expensive at the time. And when I lost her, the debt, the agony, the 55% state tax that we were charged, the Sosa family was charged in order for my father to get whatever was left, I realized that, you have to take more control and get proper education about your finances, and get proper information and education. After that, I went to go work for corporate America, and the last firm that I worked for was right across the street, very good firm. I was kind of like the rainmaker and door opener for a lot of the staff in the company. And one thing I learned that my background has always been in health care and financial services. My target audience for the past 7 years of my career have been the baby boomers and our elderly folks. And I want to read something to you that, to me, is very personal. This comes from the Social Security Administration. This is something every 3 months we were getting, and we still get, which, by the way, the government just recently stopped it because printing paper is too expensive, so they're trying to save money. So in order for you to actually get access to it, especially our elderly folks, you have to go to a computer. What bothers me is that not all our folks have access to a computer. Okay? So it reads like this, and this was in 2009, but this paragraph still has not changed. It says, in 2016, we will begin paying more in benefits than we collect in taxes. Without changes, by 2037, the Social Security Trust Fund will be exhausted. Now, just that statement alone, just think about that for a second, exhausted. And there will be enough money to pay only about 76 cents for each dollar of scheduled benefits. We need to resolve these issues soon to make sure Social Security continues to provide a foundation of protection for future generations, which is our children and grandchildren. Now, whether we're Republican, Democrat, or Independent, doesn't matter, but it's not about politics. The issue is there. Our government is trying to do as much as it can to resolve it. However, my philosophy, and you've heard a couple of my partners today, and you've heard about a young lady who's been in the industry for a long time, and she talks about a subject that is very important for people to learn about. Gentleman who works for another financial organization, and of course my new brother from another mother, Herbert, who actually has a nonprofit that the name says it all, We Care. And one thing my mother always told me was, you know what, you should never forget where you come from. Always give back when you reach somewhere. And I had the honor and privilege of receiving the best news of my life back in April this year. The organization I worked for said, Mr. Sosa, we cannot afford you anymore. We either have to give you a pay cut or take a severance package. And I remember when my mother told me, she goes, you know what, when you go through through a situation like this, you got to take control of the situation. Don't let the situation take control of you.
That's true.
I close my eyes, God, I put this in your hands. So I actually planted my flag and I decided to open up our own organization where for-profit company, the Sosa Group, and non-profit, WeCare, come together and work together as one. Because believe it or not, it's very hard to find non-profit and for-profit companies working together. One of the things that I want you to understand is that our seniors or elderly, you know, Medicare, I mean, it's reality, Medicare. They don't even know what's going to happen to Medicare. The brother talked about building financial foundation. Through proper education, you cannot have that unless you are properly informed. The better prepared you are, the better. So I decided to form this brokerage firm to come back, work together with people like Herbert, and bring experts to the table, because I can't do it by myself. You know, and offer opportunities for career for people to learn about this industry. Because believe it or not, there's a lack of personnel that's working in this industry. If you look at CNN Money, the news, what's going on in our country, you have companies laying people off every day. Where are our children who are going to school now? What are they looking for? I mean, you have graduates from Seton Hall Law School who are going and indebting themselves in a six-figure debt. They can't even find a $60,000 job. You have law enforcement officers who are protecting our streets, who unfortunately, because of not enough money, have to go through situations where there's layoffs. So, what other opportunities are out there? And believe it or not, there is a lot of opportunity that we have available for not only people that are working full-time, but also individuals, high school students that are not thinking about college right now, they're going into the career, or even people that are in college that want to get some real work experience, like I did, while going to school. Because the first thing an employer says to a college student that has a degree is, okay, you have this paper, but tell me what value are you going to bring to me? And that's the value that you gain, real work experience you get through the social group and other firms that we work with. And connecting and partnering with Herbert, our objective is to create initiatives in the community. Go in front of the community, because you know, listening to a commercial is one thing, but when you're in front of the people, that's where the real decisions are made. You have to be in front of the people, grassroots initiatives, in people's face, you know, and explain to them and say, listen, it's not about selling products, it's not about selling insurance, it's not about selling this. It's about giving proper education. This is what is available, and you make the decision. Because in reality, here's the way I look at it. The high and wealthy in this country, they prepare years and years before their children and grandchildren. Middle America, where we work just as hard, and the color of our money is the same color as theirs, green. So we have the same ability of doing what other people do. But you know what? Lack of education, not getting the proper financial concepts. This is what the social group is, WeCare organization want to offer our community. So with that being said, I wanted to tell you that for 2012, we look forward to working through faith-based organizations to do financial literacy seminar, how to better understand proper health care. When it comes to Medicare, a lot of people do not understand that. Every year the government's coming up with changes. You have a lot of organizations out here that offer different services, but you need to be in front of people to educate them about what is available to them. We're not here pushing product, we just want to bring proper education and information to the community. With that being said, I want to thank you, Mr. Glenn, my brother from another mother. I really want to say that the social group is looking forward to having you come on board, and we are together as well. We're going to do a lot of things in the community. I look forward to working with you very closely. God bless.
It's a beautiful opportunity. This is our first chance that we've had to actually get together and talk about what we learned to do. One of the things that's really important is about what are we going to do for you? What is this recovering chaplain going to do for the Chaplains International Organization? And Dr. Thomas alluded to our personal relationship. We kind of come from the same church family, and he's watched my children grow up, and he's already been an inspiration to me to help me move forward with my daughter who wants to get into the healthcare profession. And that's kind of like what catapulted me to start wanting to find out more about healthcare. It's how do I help my daughter? How do I help my children? And we need to be encouraged to understand that many of the things that our children need, we should know how to get it for them. A lot of times we're telling them, get up and do it yourself. Well, it ain't going to happen. It is up to us to lead our children in the right direction. We're constantly talking about it takes a village to raise a child. Well, if we look at the results that are going on now, we have no villages. We have to reinstitute and start growing and building those villages. One of the inspirations that came to me when Dr. Rozier was alive was that we focused on coming up with a concept where we would adopt a school. We want to reinstitute that. We want to look at overcoming the political barriers and making that a reality for this institution. We're encouraged to develop many opportunities that are going to be very important for our outreach effort. WeCarePartners has put on the table a proposal to create a community media center. With the community media center, we'll be able to develop ways in which we will have a place, a facility, where we can do the training and then have the United Chaplains International host a lot of those activities that go on. We want to look at fundraising opportunities and develop ways in which we would have the financing independently, not only through grants, but ways in which we would just collectively build it through each other. The most important thing about this is the characteristics of what teamwork really is. We have to work together. And because of those aspects, because of the relationship that we do, with our foundation of knowing that we're going to be exalted in the name of our Lord and Savior in our lives, I'm truly blessed to believe that it will work. As far as I'm concerned, it is important that we recognize the fact that there are a lot of obstacles that we have before us. But in order for us to overcome them, in order for us to discipline ourselves to do what's really important, together, we can all make it work. I really appreciate you all. We'll be looking forward to it. I'm not going to ask the director to give me any kind of opportunity to get you to sign up for anything. I know you're all organized very well. If there are those of you who do not wish for us to contact you, just let us know. But we're encouraged to believe that each and every one of you here today is going to be looking forward to some information from us. And we're going to continue to be here with you each meeting that you have here in New Jersey. And we thank you very much for this time.